The essence of all religion is one, only their approach is different. Mahatma Gandhi. A quote like that would have never been welcome in the house I grew up in. I was raised in a Christian household with most of my family as members of the clergy with leadership positions in the church. I have experience with the rules of religion being prioritized over ethical, moral, and critical thinking. Spirituality allows one to live based on the perspective they have created, based on the life they have experienced, and the views of morality and ethics that they have concurred. It provides a strong sense of freedom and critical thinking of with oneself. Did you know that you can be spiritual without being religious, and vice versa? Learning the difference between the two is essential before practicing either. I grew up in a religious household where most of my family were members of the clergy, as I mentioned earlier, and growing up in the church allowed me to grow up with a sense of community. It was like a second home, and everyone there was my family. Literally, and in a way spiritually. As I got older, though, I realized that things weren't all black and white. I began to question things that turned out to be more complex than I previously thought. I went in search of answers, but ultimately, I ended up more lost than I was before. Have you ever felt disconnected from the very thing that always grounded you, because the one thing that made up your foundation had too many loose ends and just didn't make sense anymore? Religion is a man-made set of beliefs, followed in a structured manner in large communities around the world. There are many traditions within religion, as there are many interpretations of said beliefs and rules that have carried religion since it was created. People all have one idea that they believe is the right one, and they live by it while declaring all others' perspectives unenlightened. Spirituality, however, has a style all its own, as it is inclusive of more than one perspective of the ways of life and its significance for individual benefit. It is more of a holistic approach to life as a whole, as it focuses on centering mind, body, and spirit in a daily attempt to keep them in balance and perfect peace. Though they are somewhat comparable, you can be spiritual without being religious. Though there are some people who beg to differ, of course. Before taking a dive into this argument, one should have a solid understanding of the distinct differences between religion and spirituality. The first question is what each word means. Well, spirituality can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. In the Atlantic's magazine article, What It Means to Be Spiritual But Not Religious, 2018, Caroline Kitchener, the publication's former associate director, explores how people can be spiritual while not subscribing to organized religion. Kitchener says that people who practice spirituality are not abandoning their beliefs in higher power, contrary to popular belief. In this article, those quoted by the author say that they felt restricted in their political beliefs with participating in organized religion in the church. Health is a state of complete harmony of the mind, body, and spirit, as said by B.K.S. Iyengar. Spiritual wellness affects mental health by allowing one to acknowledge the impact they have in daily routine activities that may seem mundane to most, even yourself. Spiritual wellness produces prosperity in all areas of life. In a previous research assignment, I found that being spiritual is not just meditating and drinking tea in the morning to open one's chakra. It is much more than a satisfying aesthetic on social media. It's beneficial to the health and sustainability to one's mind, body, and spirit. In the University of Minnesota newsletter issued by Why is Spirituality Important to 2013, Louise Delagrande, a writer who is the former editor and web producer of the newsletter, talks about the ways a spirituality motivated lifestyle can enhance someone's quality of life. According to Delagrande, meditation, prayer, yoga, and journaling are important spiritual practices. Some people may practice these things without even realizing how vital they are to their spiritual health. She says that these practices amplify one's sense of benevolence and a conscious mind. Not an idle mind, a conscious mind. People often find comfort in spirituality as they do in religion, with the only difference being that spirituality is more of an individual practice. Delagrande talks about how prioritizing spiritual wellness can improve a person's overall health, mental, emotional, and physical. By strengthening your spirituality, you will not only strengthen your quality of life within, but you will also have a more sustainable and meaningful interactions with others. According to Cassar and Scheinborn, those who participated in the study say that they ultimately use spirituality as a self-improvement tool to expedite their development as better people by allowing them to be empathetic towards others by relating to them on a spiritual, emotional, and circumstantial level. It increases your empathy. A religious person will do what he is told no matter what is right, whereas a spiritual person will do what is right no matter what he is told. I'll say that one more time. Got kind of confuddled the first time. A religious person will do what he is told no matter what is right, whereas a spiritual person will do what is right no matter what he is told. Wise words said by Carlos Santana. Sometimes in religion, those who subscribe to it have set opinions on certain topics as agreed on by the majority or more influential members of that community. Anyone who attempts to step outside of the majority rule in that religion puts such a person in danger of being shunned, whether passive aggressively or otherwise. In the Atlantic's magazine article, What It Means to Be Spiritual But Not Religious, Caroline Kitchener, the publication's former associate editor, explores how people can be spiritual while not subscribing to organized religion, as I mentioned earlier. However, this time, there's a new piece of information that I'd like to share within this article. They felt as though that they were being held to obligation of supporting points of view that those in positions of power within the religion deem righteous, moral, and ethical. As a result, they found peace and spirituality in the absence of religion. So that means they were practicing spirituality without religion, as I mentioned earlier, is possible. They found that it encouraged rather than condemned open-mindedness. Kitchener talks about how living a spiritual life is complex because it is more of an individual practice, so connotations and methods may vary for each individual person. In the Today News article, Can You Be Spiritual Without Being Religious? Yes, you can. There are many paths to enlightenment, 2015. Communication specialist and creative copywriter Chris Saraco talks about what it's like to live a non-traditional life where you have a spiritual foundation absent of religion. Some of the people Saraco interviewed suggested that religion was just as subjective as spirituality. He concluded that one can be spiritual without being religious, according to the sources found within the congregation he interviewed. As Elizabeth Lesser wrote, spirituality is a brave search for the truth about existence, fearlessly peering into the mysterious nature of life. And I hope that after what you have heard here today, you decide to go and search for that truth yourselves. Prioritizing spirituality over religion positively impacts all areas of one's life as it boosts health in the mind, body, and spirit. Knowing the difference between the two will allow one to fully understand the depth of each. Religion is a set of beliefs/philosophies of past people and is followed today. It is commonly practiced in an organized, community-sanctioned fashion. Spirituality is a more individualized practice that strives for balance in mental, emotional, and physical health. It can be practiced with or without a religious foundation. It can be channeled for self-development and purposeful self-discovery. I challenge anyone that hears this to think about what religion and spirituality mean to you as separate entities and inseparable ones, without heavily depending upon what has been taught to you by family, and by using critical thinking skills based on personal experience and knowledge. To what conclusion does one arrive? What conclusion do you arrive at? Which is more important? I dare whoever it may be in the audience to take on this dilemma and be honest, completely honest with themselves about whatever they find. In seeking truth, you have to get both sides of the story. No wiser words said by Walter Cronkite. Thank you.